Hello everybody, my name's Isaiah, and in this video I'm going to unbox the ECS LIVA Z and review it. Alright, so on to the unboxing. This is the ECS LIVA Z, and as you see, this is the newest model. It is an all-in-one device. It's supported by Windows 10. Nothing else is actually supported. Ubuntu is allowed to be installed, but ECS does not support it on their website, only Windows 10. Now this is pretty much all-in-one device. It has everything you need built on the board, ready to go, but if you want to supply your copy of Windows, you have to do that yourself. Now we have the box off. You can see the unit itself, the LIVA, and it has HDMI on it, and we'll get back to this here in a second. Put to the side. What else do we have in here? This looks like the power adapter, and that's exactly what it is. It's just a power adapter, standard. And then on the other side, you take this whole cardboard thing out. You have the other part of the power adapter, so what goes into this. And then finally you have the VESA mounting plate, so if you want to mount it to the back of a monitor, you can. Here's the plate for it. And of course, your bag of screws. Now here we have the unit itself. Let me get off the wrapper here, make it a little bit easier to see. And if you actually compare it, it is the size of a disc. Now if I got a case, it's the same deal. If I grab a case, it's not much bigger than a case, or actually smaller than a case of Blu-ray or DVD or anything like that. It's quite a small unit, and it's compact, and it has everything in it, which is great. So on the front of the unit, you have a power button, 3 USB 3.0 ports, and a USB-C port. Now finally, at the very end, you have a microphone jack. There's a combo, so it has a microphone plus audio jack in one. If you rotate it, it's just the vents. And on the back side, you have your display port, which is very interesting. And then you have your HDMI port and 2 Ethernet jacks, and of course your power supply. Alright, so this is a 24-inch monitor with the VESA mounting plate attached already. And so the unit itself has 2 screws in it, and once you slide it into place, it locks down. And since it's the very light unit, it's not going to make the monitor fall over or anything like that. So here I have the unit. I already removed the screws from the back. So once you take that off, you can see all the components inside. So first up, there's an M2 slot that supports 40mm cards, the wireless AC adapter, and Bluetooth. And here you have DDR3 low voltage memory, 2 slots of it. And then of course on the right there is all the USB ports. At the very bottom there's actually a SATA port and a comms port, which I'm not quite sure what it does. So now I'm running Windows 10.1, the newest version. And browsing the web just like before is kind of a slow process. Here I just clicked on CNN.com. I know the screen's a little bit hard to see, I apologize. But this is real time, and you see how long it's taking to load one page. And it's because of the CPU. It's just not powerful enough to do fast browsing. It'll get there eventually, but all the websites nowadays have little ads on the side, and the coding is not fast like it used to be. And here we're on overclockersclub.com. Same deal. It's not the fault of the websites, because they're all like this, that any website that have ads on them is going to be a little bit slower versus ones that don't. And so if you're a person who likes Facebook games, and I know a lot of people play these, it's actually the main attraction to a lot of computers as people browse the web, watch YouTube, write some papers, maybe recipes, and play Facebook games. It's actually not that bad. I thought it'd be a lot worse. I really don't have any problem playing some games. If I switch to Farmville, it's very, very slow, but games like this is really fast, so it really depends. And I really can't say that I expect too much more out of it. I mean, you're paying very little for a powerful device, and just a few years ago this would be impossible. So I think just the fact that we got this far means a lot. The LIVA Z I have here is a 32GB version. It comes in 64 variants also, and it's running the eMMC memory. That memory is most commonly known to be in phones and other devices. As you see, it actually has really good read and write speed, so that shouldn't be a factor other than just having not enough space on the drive itself. So here I am on YouTube. I picked a video that has a 4K stream for it. Now right now this is a 1080p video, and as you see it's pretty smooth. There's nothing really jerky about it. Now of course you're watching a recording of the desktop, so you might see some jittering, but I assure you the actual playback of it is smooth as butter. Switching to 4K is just as nice. It takes a little bit longer to buffer and load, but once it does, then it's off to the races. It plays just fine, and that's definitely something you want to know and see when it comes to buying something like this, is that will it play back 4K fine if it's advertised and supported? Yes, it will. That's the answer there. One of the main selling points of any computer is video playback, and here I have the Return of the Living Dead. I have a MPEG-4 version, a HEVC version or H.265, and a 4K format. Now all of them play back just fine in Windows Media Player. If you're using a different player like VLC Player or Windows Player Classic, you might run into some issues, but it's good to know that the default player that's built into Windows 10 plays these just fine. And as far as the CPU load goes, you see it's not really getting above 30%. That's because the hardware, the coding is taking over and actually doing what it's supposed to do. So here I am on Ubuntu 16.04, and I went to CNN.com just like the Windows, and you see in real time how long it takes to load. Once again, it's not really the web page's fault, but more of the CPU. It's just really not that fast for loading ads and all that stuff that kind of runs in the background. So if you're expecting to browse the web kind of fast, like your phone or any modern computer these days, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. Now it will load eventually, but as you see here, just going to any website takes a little bit of time. And so here's overclockersclub.com. There's a little bit of ads here and there, just like any website you go across, and it's still going to load for quite a while. So here's Ubuntu. I'm using SM Player, which is a third-party player that you can download on the Ubuntu store. Now, the default player that was included with Ubuntu did not work. It just gave me errors or shutter trying to play back. So here I'm showing a very popular third-party software here. As you see on the screen, you can glitches after playing, and this is kind of the reason why ECS doesn't actually support this OS. He just says it runs on their hardware, and the only one they actually support is Windows 10. So if you start having issues using Ubuntu, that's unfortunately something you have to figure out yourself. They're not going to give you any technical support. But once again, all the videos play just fine. It looks like any major format you can get running on it. If it's hardware supported as far as hardware decoding goes, then you're good to go. So here I am watching the same YouTube video I did on Windows. This is a 1080p stream of it, and I noticed a lot of times if it doesn't fully buffer before hitting play, or just having to buffer all the way before it hit play smoothly. Now this is a problem with Ubuntu. The Windows side played just fine, so once you go to 4K, I have a similar problem. Actually, it's a little bit worse. It doesn't play at all most of the time. It just goes to show that driver support can be a huge deal when it comes to making your video playback possible. Alright, so now we've seen the performance of this unit and what it can do. Once again, I have the N3350 Celeron, so it's the lowest model of all the versions you can get. It's 2-core and it's running at 1.1 gigahertz. Now, as you saw in the video, it's decent enough to browse the web if you need to get around. It's not going to be extremely fast. It's actually pretty slow in comparison to what we're used to these days. And I remember growing up with dial-up. And when I had dial-up, you could load a page, walk away, make a sandwich. But now we're kind of in the 21st century. We all have high-speed internet. This has wireless built into it, which is amazing. But as far as performance goes, this is going back a few generations and a few years as far as performance goes. Now, I want to say right off the bat, this has 3 variants. I have the lower Celeron, there's one more Celeron, and there's a Pentium for the LIVA Z. Now there's a LIVA Z Plus, which has a Pentium i3 and i5. That's a separate thing, but I believe they actually have the same layout. As far as pictures go, this is pretty much going to be the same device you're going to get for either one. So if you don't like the way the ports are laid out, you're going to have that on either version you get. That being said, I have a hard time understanding why they put all the USB ports on the front and no USB ports on the back. I don't understand why there's 2 Ethernet jacks and nothing else. So like, I personally would have removed one of the Ethernet jacks, put a USB port in the back or 2 ports, get rid of the display port. There's no reason to have a mini display port in the back unless you're going to include adapter. And I understand that they're trying to save costs, and by saving costs, you're not including things. But so unless you are buying the i3 or i5 version, I really don't see a reason why this unit would have to include these ports. You're just kind of wasting a little bit of money there. That being said, I do enjoy that they did cram this with all the ports. It's like complete opposite of what you said. But if you're going to sell a device all in one and you want every kind of variance, you want somebody that might have a media center, you might want to have somebody that has a micro PC on the back of their computer monitor and their monitor has different outputs. You don't want to be stuck supplying a unit to a customer and they can't use it. So that being said, I understand why they did that. So let me talk about this unit itself. This is the lowest model of the 3, and as you saw in the video, playback was completely smooth. 1080p played, 4K played, YouTube. I wasn't able to show you Vudu or Amazon streaming because of licensing issues, but I can tell you that everything that was in Windows 10 played just fine on this CPU, which is great. Now when it comes to web browsing, if you notice, web browsing is a little bit slower. It took a while to load each page, and I think it's because the CPU is just not powerful enough. This is a dual core 1.1 gigahertz, and it just doesn't have the oomph that you expect in modern devices. Now that's not bad. Like I said, once it loads everything, you can see that you can read the pages, it works just fine, but it takes a little bit of time to load it. Now, if you were to move up to the faster unit, then you would have ability to load pages faster and of course still be able to watch videos. Then of course, if you look at Ubuntu, you saw that there's some issues here. It's not, once again, not the device itself, it's actually Ubuntu software is not really up to speed as far as supporting the latest hardware. I think maybe in a few months they might actually add support for this device, but right now it seems to be it's mostly running off the CPU and not the hardware acceleration. That means that when you browse the web, which is going to be still slow, but if you're watching videos, this thing has a little bit of hard time playing back on Ubuntu. That being said, this unit is overall great for pretty much any needs. Once again, if you have problems with slower loading of pages, then this might not be for you. But if you're doing light web browsing, your main use of this is watching video, this would be a perfect device for that. So I want to thank you for watching this video, and if you liked it, please leave a comment below and subscribe to more videos at overclockersclub.com.